You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, the city of Pittsburgh applies for a grant to help the homeless in their area.
Also, an overnight fire leaves a Carthage family without a home.
And it's going to be another hot day. In fact, even hotter, and warmer temperatures still on the way. Take a look at that forecast. Get you out the door. Coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Noe.
And I'm Chris Warner. It's just after 7 a.m. on this Wednesday morning, and we are halfway through the work week, almost halfway through the month, which means we're about halfway through the year.
It's a lot.
Where's it all gone?
Flying by.
It
really is.
It doesn't seem like that long ago we were dealing with that severe weather at the beginning of May.
Yes.
We had some unpleasant winter weather to begin the year. So,
certainly, yeah.
And now here we are halfway through, and now it's going to get really hot.
Yes, it is. Yes,
we'll talk about all that here in just a moment with that forecast.
Absolutely. Well, the city of Pittsburgh is requesting more than $300,000 in federal funding to help address homelessness. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
Every year for more than a decade, the city of Pittsburgh has applied for the Emergency Solutions Grant through the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation. The city requests a certain amount of funding. This year, they're applying for more than $300,000 to aid the city's homeless community.
We also helped with homeless prevention funds, which helps individuals stay housed with either back rent or utilities assistance, and there was some funding for day shelter operations.
Last year, they applied for $450,000, but were granted just under $100,000. If they do not receive the amount they're requesting, city officials are prepared to be strategic.
We have to be more mindful of how much we are helping individuals. We just need to make sure that we are truly helping the individuals that need the assistance.
One Pittsburgh resident is skeptical about how the city will spend the funds. He voices his thoughts on his 5,000-member Facebook group called Citizens for Pittsburgh.
If this is the way to solve the problem, more money, more people working, why is the problem continually getting worse?
Lomshek and others believe the funds should be spent on people from Crawford County. The city of Pittsburgh assists anyone who meets their homelessness criteria.
The other concern that we've had from the beginning is that a large number of these people are not from Crawford County or Pittsburgh. They are coming here because they have heard there are free services.
Well, they have to go through some homeless certifications, but as long as they are in our community, they are considered a resident and will be assisted.
Reporting in Pittsburgh, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
If approved, city officials say they should receive the funds by August.
Of course, homelessness an issue across the area. I know a number of communities trying to step up and find solutions to this problem and get things taken care of.
Absolutely. Hopefully they get the grant funding that they need.
Yeah, I actually get what they apply for. I'm sure
Yes.
that would be most beneficial for them at this point.
Absolutely.
Well, we've got another hot day across the 4 states. We'll take a live look. There we are from, if I can spit this out here. We'll get there. Live look from our camera on top of the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. Got a light breeze out there. That light breeze will not do much for the heat. Otherwise, as you can see, the skies are clear. Clear skies also from MoDOT camera 20th and Range Line. Looking back to the south, it is going to be a hot one today. Fog tracker. It's been updating. It updates every so often. You can see now Miami down to 3.2 miles of visibility. You can see there's this little area of fog here. So that's why we've been showing this through the morning. We've had some patchy fog out there. It's not been super dense on the fog tracker, but you still want to slow down. Give yourself time to get where you're going if you're heading into some of these foggier areas out there. And just watch out for it to kind of suddenly appear on you too. All right, future track heading into the afternoon and evening. Nothing on it except hot temperatures. That's really all we have to show for today. Temperatures this morning about average, but it's not going to be that way as we head down the road. Low to mid 60s, but take a look out west, the 8th Center, Iola, for example, already into the upper 60s. At 7 o'clock this morning, you're almost at 70 degrees. And that is ahead of highs today, going into the mid to upper 80s. Ample sunshine out there, so make sure A, you're staying hydrated in the heat, and B, of course, our UV index is going to be very high again today. Make sure you're taking precautions if you have to be outdoors. Temperatures are going to continue to climb heading into the weekend, and we have some rain chances as early as tomorrow night. We'll talk about all that in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, we'll see you soon. Well, the city of Pittsburgh agrees to terms with Pitt State for millions in funding for a new college of business. The Gorilla Rising project aims to develop the new college as well as on-site parking at 3rd and Broadway. It would also see the redevelopment of the Best Hotel on 4th Street. The city yesterday approved the funding agreement for $10,050,000. They say it will provide a much-needed update.
It's an opportunity to, one, get a new facility for the College of Business that's sorely needed for our business students, but also by moving it downtown, we can create a tighter linkage with the business community in Pittsburgh and the surrounding region and with the city. It's a great experience for our students and a great opportunity to enhance the business community in Pittsburgh.
The city also approved $32,000 in funding for the Kelsey College of Business Economic Research proposal. Well, just before midnight, neighbors called 911 saying flames were visible from a house on Douglas Circle in Carthage. Everyone was out of the house safely as firefighters arrived. They reported flames coming from the roof. The blaze was under control within the first 20 minutes, but the house suffered extensive damage, displacing the residents. Carthage Fire Chief Ryan Huntley says preliminary investigation reveals an electric issue as the source. Mercy Joplin's chapter of Women with a Mission hosted a donation ceremony yesterday. The chapter has raised more than $100,000 for such projects as ultrasound, surgical equipment, and cardiac services equipment for various departments. Women with a Mission Giving Society combines resources, vision, and passion for helping others to support and improve healthcare in its communities. Well, KOAM and Fox 14 are starting a summer food drive as part of our Feed the Four States campaign. Local food pantries have struggled since COVID, so any size donation makes a world of difference. As part of our summer food drive, we ask that you bring donations to your local food pantry, either in the form of cash or non-perishable food items. You can find a list of food pantries in the area on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com/feed. Well, graduations are a time for celebrating your accomplishments and keeping an eye out for the future. And while that sentiment rings true for students at Connecticut's Newton High School, it also is a moment of heartache and sadness for this year's graduating class, many of whom are survivors of one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history. Fox News' Chris DeMeo takes a closer look at how they're honoring their fallen classmates' memories and ramping up their calls for gun reform.
Most kids look forward to graduating from high school, a time when they feel they can spread their wings and fly.
Since you're in kindergarten, you just can't wait to graduate.
The excitement is plentiful in Connecticut, where Newtown High School's class of 2024 is graduating Wednesday. But behind the pomp and circumstance is a tragic past many seniors will carry for a lifetime.
We can't forget about that there is a whole chunk of our class missing. And so going into graduation, we all have very mixed emotions.
Among the more than 300 graduates are survivors of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, where a gunman killed 20 first graders and 6 teachers back in December of 2012.
The shooter actually came into my classroom, so I had to watch all my friends and teachers get killed, and I had to run for my life at 6 years old. And I know that was really traumatizing for me.
Victims will be honored during the graduation ceremony as their surviving classmates still grapple with the pain.
I can't really remember many times before the shooting, so in that sense it really did take over those really innocent times, and it really forced us to grow up so fast when we didn't need to.
In the years since the tragedy, students have been advocating for an end to gun violence.
We're fighting for change, and we're really not going to stop until we get it.
Many are now eyeing future careers in law or politics and say they have plans to continue calling for firearm reform.
That these children and educators didn't die for nothing.
Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
And those are our top stories this half hour. Coming up next, you're invited to come fly a kite in Pittsburgh this weekend. We'll hear from some of the organizers. And later, a ball club in Iowa is reaching out to young fans with autism through games. We'll be right back, but before we head to break, here's a live look of the water tower in Neosho, Missouri at Dewey and Finney Avenue. Well, Pittsburgh's second annual Kite Festival takes place this Saturday. Al Patel and Toby Book, two of the organizers, are with us this morning to invite you to come fly a kite. Welcome to you both. Thank you so much for being with us. So talk to me about this Kite Festival and what's all in store this weekend.
The Kite Festival, Al approached us last year about starting a Kite Festival in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
It's a tradition from his homeland of India and that area, and I can kind of let him explain that a little bit better what that is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is a festival of like we are welcoming the spring and throwing away all of our bad things out of the world and putting like a new things in our mind.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why we are flying the kite. All the flies, when they go high, it will take all our sorrows, bad things away from our life and bring the new winds, new things in new colors in our life.
Absolutely. A perfect way to kick off summer too.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be this weekend, and this is the second annual festival. Can you talk to me a little bit about what's different this year compared to last year?
Well, we've had a location change this year.
Yes.
We are moving to Pitt State by the Plaster Center, Bicknell Center parking lot just east of there in the big field. Ford and Homer are the intersections if you need to put it on Google. So we had that location change. Pretty much everything else, the date change, we're a little bit later, I think last year, or no, we're earlier.
Earlier, yeah.
Last year we were in July, so it's 10 to 4 on Saturday at Pittsburgh State Campus. So those are the biggest changes right now.
Wonderful. And can you talk to me, so you'll be flying kites. Will there be any other activities involved for the community, or is it just, you know, putting all the kites up in the sky and seeing them fly?
No, like some of the vendors, they are coming with all over USA, like they are the real kite flyers, like international kite flyers. They are coming to Pittsburgh, coming with their big different kind of kites, and they are going to do some display of the big kites also.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yes, so you guys are expecting flyers from all over across the United States. What does that mean to the community of Pittsburgh, having so many people come?
I think it's pretty exciting for the community. Al and his family have done so much for us, and to come up with an event like this, it brings in a different demographic of people.
Absolutely.
You know, we all buy stuff from convenience stores and restaurants and stuff, so it helps the community that way, and it gives us more positive exposure across the region.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being with us this morning. And just a reminder, the Kite Festival is this Saturday, and it starts at 10 a.m. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 7:17 coming up on 7:18 on this Wednesday morning. And we're starting with the fog tracker because, again, we've had some patchy fog out there. Right now, some more dense fog around Miami, back into Ottawa, parts of Cherokee County, and into parts of Craig County as well. So if you're traveling I-44, 69, you definitely want to slow down. Watch out. It's not significantly dense, but nonetheless, down to 3.2 miles of visibility in Miami right now. Future track, we're going to skip through today because today is sunny. It is warm, but getting downright hot. And as we head into Thursday, the majority of our Thursday is sunny and even hotter. Take a look at these temperatures at 5 o'clock. Got a lot of low, even close to mid-90s out there. But it's late Thursday night. Now, we talked about this the other day. We were looking at the possibility of maybe a stray shower storm in our far northern counties. However, some of the new updates overnight and into this morning are showing that we could get a thunderstorm complex in here very early Friday morning. So here we are at 1 a.m. So Stockton, Nevada, Fort Scott, and maybe even as far south as Pittsburgh and Lamar before that kind of fizzles out and rolls on out of here. And then as we go through the day on Friday, we'll be partly to mostly cloudy. And then if you see these little green splotches popping up, pop-up storms. We're getting into that season where the daytime heating generates those thunderstorms. They flare up quickly. They last about 20-30 minutes and then they die. But that is going to be a possibility throughout the day on Friday. Most of us on Friday will remain dry, but again, a pop-up shower or storm will be possible. So the thing is between tomorrow night and into Friday, we could see some strong to low-grade severe thunderstorms. The better chances again for some kind of organized activity will be tomorrow night and early Friday morning, as we showed you at that thunderstorm complex. And then as we go through Friday, it covers a broader area, but that is simply because the pop-up storms that we see, well, they'll be very isolated. While they're here, they could be strong to low-grade severe with some gusty winds and perhaps some small hail. Our UV index again today is very high at a 10, so burn time is 10 minutes for unprotected skin. So if you've got to be outdoors, make sure you're taking precautions. And also with the heat, you want to make sure you're staying hydrated. Clear skies from 7th and Rangeline, 66 in Joplin, south breeze at 3, and that's the thing, that breeze is going to be very light today, so again, no help from the wind and even just some kind of cooling out there. Temperatures warming up quickly now that the sun is out. We're into the low, mid, and starting to see upper 60-degree readings out there. Sunny through the morning, check that out, low 80s by 11 o'clock this morning, ahead of highs today in the mid to upper 80s across the area. Near 90, low maybe even mid-90s for some of us on Thursday, and then temperatures continue to climb heading into the weekend, going low mid-90s by Sunday. Could see a few evening showers Tuesday, but as you can see, the 90s stick around, and because we're hotter during the day, we're much warmer overnight. Lows only back into the 70s. That's Check Your Forecast. We're back with more right after this. Well, there's a new way for everyone to enjoy America's favorite pastime at the park.
Amanda Rooker shows us how the iClubs and local organizations are accommodating Iowans with special health care needs.
5-year-old Cal Hopper spent the day at the ballpark with his mom Megan and his sister Marin, his first iCubs game in years.
How did he do down there? He did pretty good today, huh?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Cal has autism, and the sights and sounds of a baseball game can be overwhelming. But on Sunday, Cal took in the game outside special sensory rooms, giving him and others with autism a space to take a break and play.
So there's 3 separate sensory rooms that families can access here at the iCubs game. The first has all sorts of things that you can really touch and play with, from popcorn kernels down there to slinkies, cubes, fidget spinners, all sorts of fun things. This second room behind me has everything from a ball pit to a swing over here. And the third room behind me is a quiet space that even has some blacked out windows and a swing, so anyone who's feeling overwhelmed can have a safe space to calm down.
Sunday marked the first ever sensory-friendly iCubs game, put on by ChildServe and the Autism Society of Iowa. Megan Hopper says it was a safe space filled with people who understand her son Cal.
So when you come to a place like ChildServe or here where they have the sensory space, it's just really cool to kind of breathe a little bit and know that like you are understood and you're safe and I don't know, just comfortable here, huh?
Yeah.
The team's vice president and assistant general manager, Randy Wayhofer, says they hope to make the joy of the ballpark accessible to families of all needs.
The smiles and the giggles and all the things that kind of go along with it, you know, that's the whole point. It's not about the final score, it's about the experience when you're here, and this has added a level of that today for sure.
And Wayhofer says they'll learn from Sunday's event to make Principal Park as inclusive as possible for years to come.
Very impressive that they're taking those extra steps to help those kids that need to take a break from the game.
Absolutely. I'm sure it'll mean a lot to them, and it's great to see.
Absolutely.
Well, coming up, Hunter Biden's verdict is in. We'll have reactions from the decision from those on Capitol Hill.
And it's going to be another hot one across the 4 states. Temperatures continuing to rise. We'll have a look at that forecast when we come back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOA Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:28. I'm Elise Noe. Schermerhorn Park is not only home to the SEK Nature Center, but also a cave. You can find lots of bugs, spiders, and crickets in the cave, along with a stream. But the cave is home to 2 species of salamanders. The cave long-tailed and grotto salamanders are lungless and are unique to the Ozark area. You can also find the tricolored bat that calls the cave home. The cave is limited to authorized personnel only due to its many low places.
You know, salamanders are related to frogs and toads. They're an amphibian. Just kind of an interesting critter in and of itself. And then the fact that the ones we have, you know, it's weird to think of a vertebrate animal as not having internal lungs. So I think that's kind of a neat thing with them. But the fact that they can breathe and drink through their skin is pretty cool too.
The park is open every day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Some Carthage grade schoolers are diving into the world of sea turtles. In advance of World Sea Turtle Day, third graders at Steadley Elementary wrote about turtles and did turtle-related crafts. It's part of their 20 Days Around the World summer school journey designed to expand the students' horizons and also provide some fun facts.
Lay over 115 eggs a day for 10 days. They lay it on the beach in sand in a hole, and then they cover it up with sand.
Well, another fun sea turtle fact, unlike other turtles, sea turtles can't retract their flippers and head into their shells. The Bulldogs threw a block party last night. The Carl Junction kicks off the summer fun with Second Tuesday on Main Street. The event features food trucks, games, bounce houses, and booths, and so much more.
It's one, we're kicking off the summer with it. It's an event where we can come together as a community. We have something for everybody from bounce houses, foods, vendors. It's all about the community feel to kick off the summer for.
And just in case you missed this one, Carl Junction will host its next Second Tuesday on, you guessed it, July 9th. And for many people that come and go from the Fort Scott Farmers Market, but there's been one staple for the past 25 years. Ron and Beverly Brown sell fresh produce there and connect with the community through it. A former farmer, Ron, says he's just doing what he knows best.
We used to farm quite a little bit and got out of that didn't want to quit, so got into this. And we've been doing it, like I said, over 20 years now. And it's still agriculture.
Well, the Fort Scott Farmers Market is open on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to noon. Now let's check in with Chris with a look at the forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves again a pretty decent start to the day. Temperatures were about average to start the day. However, they're beginning to warm rather quickly. MoDOT camera 32nd and range line, clear skies, plentiful sunshine, and that will allow us to heat up even more as we head into this afternoon. We are looking at the fog tracker because even just a few minutes ago, we still had some pretty dense fog into parts of Cherokee, Ottawa, and Craig counties out there, but that's beginning to clear out. We're going to continue to see this fog clear on out of here, but do watch out for some patchy fog this morning. Heading into the afternoon and evening, nothing on the future track other than hot temperatures, and this isn't even as hot as it's going to get over the next several days across the area. Temperatures this morning, though, again, we've got low mid 60s across the region. We're starting to see some upper 60s out there, and temperatures will continue to climb today with ample sunshine. We're going to go into the mid upper 80s out there, and we'll have just a light south breeze, so similar to the last couple of days, not much relief from the heat in terms of the wind out there. With this sunshine and the heat, two things. One, our UV index is still very high, so make sure you're taking precautions and make sure you're staying hydrated. Now, temperatures are going to continue to climb heading into the weekend, and we do have some rain chances out there. We're going to look at all that in the full forecast here in a few more minutes. Elise?
Chris, thanks. Reactions are pouring in from Capitol Hill after the first son, Hunter Biden, was found guilty of felony gun charges. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has more from New York.
President Biden greeting his son Hunter and his family after arriving on the tarmac in Delaware. Hunter Biden was found guilty of lying about his drug use on a form before buying a gun.
It's a very tragic situation. Nobody is above the law. The rule of the law worked today.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are weighing in on the felony conviction. In an unprecedented moment in American politics, a former president and the sitting president's son were found guilty of felonies within weeks of each other. Republicans and Democrats have been quick to point out what they see as the differences in the two cases.
Clearly, the evidence was overwhelming here. I don't think that's the case in the Trump trials, and all the charges that have been brought against him have been obviously brought for political purposes.
And what if one of President Trump's children were prosecuted by the U.S. Department of Justice? The entire Republican Party would be in an uproar, demanding that everybody be fired and that the investigation be quashed.
President Biden has said he would accept the result of Hunter's trial and not pardon him. Meanwhile, some Republicans are calling former President Trump's trial a witch hunt.
Apparently, when a Republican is convicted, it's weaponization. But when a Democrat is convicted, the president's son no less, that's justice.
Anybody who has children, this is devastating to them, but there are consequences to criminal behavior and actions.
Both Trump and Hunter Biden will have the opportunity to appeal. It's unlikely either will serve time behind bars. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. An Arizona man survives a fall in Switzerland while trying to capture the perfect picture. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look of the water tower at Dewey and Finney Avenue in Neosho, Missouri. And Consumer Watch this morning. Many homeowners are struggling to pay off their mortgages. Research shows home equity has plunged the most in the South and Midwest, where values have dropped since the pandemic housing boom. Housing analysts say it's nothing like the housing crisis of 2008, but it could become a bigger factor if the labor market or economy takes a bigger downturn. The Biden administration proposing new rules that will stop medical debt from appearing on a borrower's credit report. The proposed rules would make things less difficult for millions of Americans applying for credit cards, mortgages, and different types of loans. The Bureau will begin the process of removing medical bills from credit reports in September, which is expected to allow 22,000 more people to get approval for a mortgage every year. Johnson & Johnson agrees to pay $700 million to settle an investigation into its baby powder and other talc-based products. Johnson & Johnson was accused of misleading customers about the safety of those products, and the company did not admit to any wrongdoing, but has stopped selling talc-based baby powder. Johnson & Johnson is still facing thousands of lawsuits alleging its talc products contain asbestos and can cause ovarian cancer. The company is proposing $6.48 billion to resolve those lawsuits. Well, the federal ban on marijuana is making it difficult for states that legalize the substance to ship it to island communities off their shores. Fox News' Ted Lindner takes a closer look at one region that's reeling from a lack of pot and what's being done about it.
More than half the states across the country allow the recreational or medical use of marijuana. But with the drug still illegal at the federal level, some island communities are facing a pot problem.
I'm on the verge of going out of business.
The issue is blazing up across the small island of Martha's Vineyard off the coast of Massachusetts, where dispensaries are closing up shop.
I've been closed now, for almost 3 weeks.
The reason? They simply can't get enough product. That's because officials at the state's Cannabis Control Commission say delivering pot across the ocean by plane or boat risks breaking federal law, citing how it's illegal to transport marijuana across federal waterways.
We can't buy our medical marijuana because of regulations and the political background going behind this. I need this to help with the pain that I suffer through on a daily basis.
In the past, cannabis sellers on Martha's Vineyard grew their own supply to sell, bypassing the need to have it sent across the ocean. But the Fine Fettle Company, the only commercial grower on the island, is also shutting down soon.
The nice thing about getting at a dispensary is that you can tell them specifically what you're looking for and know the milligrams and know the potency and what's in it.
A lawsuit has been filed against the Massachusetts Cannabis Commission, arguing how there are sea routes to the vineyard that are still within state waters.
We have a very strong case.
A similar issue was resolved last year in Hawaii, where lawmakers amended a ruling allowing medical marijuana to be shipped between islands. Ted Lindner, Fox News.
And those are our top consumer stories. Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 743, coming up on 744 now. On this Wednesday morning, we're taking a look at the fog tracker because, again, we've had some patchy, dense fog out there. A little denser just to the northeast of Bentonville on 62 down there. And then that patchy fog has kind of thickened back up around the Miami area, so parts of Cherokee County, Craig, and Ottawa counties as well. So just be aware of that as you're driving this morning. Still some patchy fog out there. We're skipping today on the future track because all it's going to show you is the clear skies and warm temperatures. In fact, we're skipping through most of Thursday as well because most of our Thursday is sunny and even warmer. Look at these temperatures at 5, low, maybe even some mid-90s out there. It's Thursday night we want to talk about. So some of the data we were looking at yesterday, we mentioned this yesterday, it showed maybe a few isolated thunderstorms skirting our far northern counties, but some new data has come in overnight, and it is suggesting the possibility of a thunderstorm complex rolling in from the north and sinking southeast. So Fort Scott, Nevada, Stockton getting in on this activity. If it survives long enough, it may make it as far south as Pittsburgh and Lamar before it kind of fizzles out and moves on out. Then through our Friday, pop-up storm season is just about here. So you can see those little green dots appearing on the future track here and there. Pop-up storms are difficult for the computer models to pinpoint because they pop up kind of randomly. They're there about 20-30 minutes and then they die back out. But some isolated pop-up storms will be possible with the daytime heating Friday. And as you can see, it's going to be even warmer on Friday out there. So the thing is, though, between tomorrow night and Friday, we could see some stronger storms. So today, again, nothing to worry about. Tomorrow, we have that thunderstorm complex, could bring some strong, the low-grade severe thunderstorms in our northern counties. And then this low risk is broader over the area because some of those pop-up storms, even though they'll be short-lived, could bring some small hail and some gusty winds while they're going Friday afternoon and into the early evening. Aside from that, with all this sunshine, our UV index back up there right at a 10 again, a very high, which means unprotected skin, that's about 10 minutes before you start to burn. So if you've got to be outside, again, make sure you're taking precautions. And of course, with the temperatures rising, make sure you're staying hydrated as well. Clear skies from our camera 7th at Rangeline, 66 in Joplin, south breeze at 3. And as we look at temperatures around the area, we had a fairly average start, but we're starting to warm up quickly. We've already got mid-upper 60s now. And look at Nevada, Fort Scott, both sitting at 70 already. That's ahead of us reaching the low 80s by 11 o'clock this morning with sunny skies. The other side of this is that breeze out of the south is going to be light all day, so not much relief from the heat there. We got the thunderstorms tomorrow, low mid-90s, low mid-90s, low mid, maybe even upper 90s by Sunday. We'll hold on to the 90s into next week. Overnight lows warm up as well into the 70s, maybe a few stray showers Tuesday evening. That's checking your forecast. We're back with more right after this.
A 25-year-old man from Arizona is lucky to be alive after falling 50 feet off a cliff while on a mountain hike in Switzerland.
Lindsay Regas spoke with the man about his miraculous story of survival and recovery.
I took a video like the second before I fell.
25-year-old Logan Moore wanted to get the right shot on a mountain hike in Switzerland, but a wrong step on wet rock and moss caused him to slip and fall over the edge of a cliff. How are you?
All right, a bit better.
Plummeting 25 feet and hitting a rock wall that knocked him out, but the fall wasn't over yet.
That platform on my back and that momentum sent me into the crevice where I fell another 25 feet head first into the crevice and where I got stuck at the bottom.
Luckily, he regained consciousness as he waited for the Switzerland mountain rescue team to save him.
I accepted what it is and kind of said some goodbyes at that point. I didn't know if I was going to make it out. But then once I heard my cousin's voice and my friends overhead, I knew that they weren't going to go anywhere until I was freed.
Within 20 minutes, there was a helicopter overhead with help on the way.
And he was able to put the harness around my legs and over my left shoulder. And they had to bring me up about 10 feet and then traverse a little bit, like 10 feet, because it was so skinny. The crevice was so small.
The next step was to get him to the hospital as quickly as possible.
Attached me to the helicopter, then they landed me in the field where we started the hike, and then put that onto a stretcher and where I got inside the helicopter, and then we took that helicopter to the hospital.
I am beyond grateful for that rescue team.
Now he's back home in Glendale, recovering from surgery at Banner Thunderbird.
I have a broken left scapula on this side that doesn't require surgery. That'll just heal over time. And the main thing that just needed surgery was the whole right shoulder and also the right elbow.
Logan's mom flew overseas to bring her son home, thankful he is alive.
Certainly a scary situation there, and it's
very scary.
Miraculous that he is still alive today and was able to be rescued, and it's a lot.
You never want to go that far for the perfect shot. You've got to be careful, mindful of your surroundings for sure.
Absolutely.
We're going to take another look at the fog tracker and take a look at where some of that patchy fog is out there. Still dealing with it again. Some denser fog just to the northeast of Bentonville on 62, and then in parts of Cherokee, Ottawa, and Craig counties as well. Some dense fog showing up there. Not overly dense, but still, you want to slow down. Give yourself some time this morning. The future track, again, we're skipping today and going into tomorrow night, where we could see some thunderstorms. Future track suggesting maybe a thunderstorm complex rolling in by late tomorrow night and very early Friday morning. Could make it to Stockton, Fort Scott, Nevada, and then if it survives, it may make it as far south as, say, Lamar and Pittsburgh before it fizzles out and rolls out of here. And then as we go through the day on Friday with the daytime heating, we're getting into that time of year where pop-up storms are going to be a thing. So because pop-up storms are random and short-lived, the future track does its best to at least hint that that is a possibility out there. So, pop-up storms, they'll be about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then they fizzle back out. However, we do have just enough instability that between the storms tomorrow night and the pop-up storms Friday, some of those could be strong, low-grade severe. So again, nothing to worry about today. We have that low-end risk across our northern counties for late tomorrow night into early Friday morning, and then again across a broader area on Friday, because where we see those isolated pop-up storms, some of those could be a little stronger with some small hail and perhaps some gusty winds before they die out. And a reminder, of course, the UV index, it's going to be like this for a while now. It's a 10. It's very high. Burn time is 10 minutes for unprotected skin. Make sure you're limiting your time outside, doing what you can to take precautions, and as temperatures rise, make sure you're staying hydrated as well. It's going to continue to heat up, so we'll look at that in the extended forecast here in a moment, as well as the news you need to know when we come back.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The city of Pittsburgh is requesting more than $300,000 in federal funding to help address the homeless issue. Every year for more than a decade, the city has applied for the Emergency Solutions Grant through the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation. Last year, they applied for $450,000, but were granted approximately $100,000. Mercy Joplin's chapter of Women with a Mission hosted a donation ceremony yesterday, and the chapter has raised more than $100,000 for various departments. Women with a Mission Giving Society combines resources, vision, and passion for helping others to support and improve health care in its communities. KOAM and Fox 14 are starting a summer food drive as part of our Feed the Four States campaign. Any size donation makes a world of difference. We ask that you bring donations to your local food pantry, either in the form of cash or non-perishable food items. You can find a list of food pantries in the area on our website, koamnewsnow.com/feed.
It's going to be a hot one today. Temperatures mid-upper 80s, plentiful sunshine out there, and a light south breeze not doing much to help. UV index also high, so make sure you're taking precautions and staying hydrated. Clear skies through the evening and overnight, 78 at 10 o'clock. Overnight lows into the upper 60s. Temperatures continue to warm. We could see some evening thunderstorms tomorrow night and pop-up storms on Friday. We're going to go mid, maybe even upper 90s by Sunday, and a few evening showers Tuesday. Of course, as daytime highs warm up, so do the overnight lows. They're going to be into the 70s over the next several nights.
A full week of 90s.
Yeah, it's settling in.
Alrighty.
Well, 3 passengers were injured on Monday after a deer jumped through the windshield of a public bus. Footage released by the Rhode Island Public Transit Authority shows when the incident occurred in Warwick on Monday afternoon.
6 passengers were on board the bus at the time. 2 were brought to the hospital with injuries, while the 3rd went to the hospital on their own. The other 3 passengers were uninjured, and the deer did not make it. Certainly a frightening situation on the bus. I mean, it's one way to get on board, I suppose. But
I guess so.
It's unfortunate for the deer, though.
Absolutely sad.
Well, thank you all so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great rest of your morning.